Hi, my name is Brady Reisgraf, and I work in medtech, and I am in clinical development. I am the director of clinical development at 3Spine, working on getting new products in the medical space to market. I came to the ESTEEM program because I wanted to make a larger impact with the work that I was doing. I knew that I always, in a very cliche manner, wanted to help individuals. And I thought that I was going to do that by being a medical provider. And it ended up that there was a very different path to be able to do that. And so I was fortunate enough my senior year of college to be able to work with Mayo Clinic. And I worked on the commercialization arm of some of their products. And it was the first time that I recognized that the only way to make impact wasn't in the provider space. You didn't have to be in the hospital every day to make an impact. And so at the time I was enrolled in medical school, and then David Murphy found me. So made my way to the ESTEEM program, and from there, everything else is history. My favorite memory from ESTEEM was absolutely the bike ride. I had so much fun on the bike ride, both the good and bad components of it. But it was such a phenomenal experience to be able to do that with the entire class. And the second answer I would have is just football games in general. It was such a fun experience to go through that with everybody in the class, and it's a way to kind of get out of the learning environment and out of the classroom space. ESTEEM helped me fix things that matter because it gives you a different framework with which to work by. You're able to look at problems in a different light, and I think it creates problem solvers and solution-oriented individuals. So when you're going into any environment, whether it's medicine or whether it's technology or finance, you're constantly looking for new solutions to improve a problem for a consumer. And I think ESTEEM does a great job of this through the hands-on nature of the entire experience. Notre Dame's entrepreneurial sandbox was immensely important when you figure out all the different components that you need to be successful when you're trying to start a startup. An idea is one thing, but actually bringing that idea through to execution is a whole different story. And so when you have these ideas and these concepts, and even when you create a product, products are great, but if they don't get in the hands of the right people or don't get to the right people, then they don't matter. And you can't make the impact that you want to have. So being able to have the entire ecosystem of the Idea Center and ESTEEM and a Notre Dame behind you makes such a difference when you've got ideas and you want to translate them into actual products. So that comes with, building a team with the right individuals. ESTEEM is full of that. Notre Dame is full of that. Then you have to get funding for your projects. There's somewhere that money has to come from, right, to create projects. You need makerspace to be able to create, minimum viable products. I think the entire ecosystem provides the items that you need in order to bring products to market that you wouldn't have otherwise. I think there's a blessing and a curse in ESTEEM in that every role that you're in, every project that you work on, you're trying to figure out how you can make an impact. And I think that is what you leave the program. I think the number one thing that everybody leaves the program is, how do I make an impact on a day-to-day basis? And maybe that's through your job, and hopefully it's through your job. But if it's not through what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, it can be on a side project, it can be on a side hustle, it can be on a research project that you're working on somewhere else. But finding a way to give back and make an impact in the community, I think, is so important, and it's stressed so well, and not just talked about, but it's truly lived out here in ESTEEM, is having the components in your life to give back and to provide an impact on the people around you and the greater community. My biggest piece of advice for incoming students is asking the question, what would you do if you weren't afraid? I think there are so many things that people don't do in their lives because we're so afraid of what people will think or of the outcome. But the truth of the matter is, fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. It's easy to look at it like an ocean, but when you take your first step, you realize that you don't drown and you survive. And I think that's where most of the good things happen. I think usually the big decisions that you think about that you really want to do, that you're scared to do, when I ask that question, is what helps you get over the hurdle of doing it. And I'll say that one again for the second part. The biggest piece of advice that I have for ESTEEM students is, if you can identify and define the day-to-day role that you want to have and what your day looks like, you essentially have 80% of the goal complete. It's, coming out of ESTEEM, there are so many opportunities and options and roles ahead of you. But what you really need to nail down on is, what do I want to do on a day-to-day basis? What do I want to spend the hours of my day doing? And once you can define that capacity, then you'll have a better idea of the industry doesn't matter, the role doesn't matter as much, but you can truly create that role and that life that you want over the next few years when you leave ESTEEM. I think ESTEEM provides a framework and a mindset for people to be problem solvers. I think what we're looking for more and more in this world is people that can create solutions to problems and be forward thinking and be dynamic and think on their feet. And I think ESTEEM does that by getting you out of your comfort zone and making you think about things that you had never thought about, or try things that you never would have tried otherwise, and being able to work on some of those projects in a very low risk environment is what helps drive some of the value and the solutions that people are able to create beyond school. And I think, the schooling is a great portion of it, but really creating the framework to think critically and solve problems is what makes ESTEEM students stand out. I think one of the most important skills that I learned at ESTEEM was the ability to be dynamic and flexible in any environment, and understanding that risk looks a lot bigger than what it really is. Jumping in and starting your own company or joining a startup can seem very risky. It can be very scary at times, but in the grand scheme of things, it's such a small leap to make. And being able to do that in the environment that Notre Dame and ESTEEM creates with people that you're surrounded by is immensely important and impactful. So throughout my career, I think there are two things that I hold on to very strongly. One of them is, in all roles, in all jobs, my first thought is, how is this impacting the community? How is this impacting the consumer on the end of the other side? And were my 10 hours or 12 hours today put towards something that's worthwhile and meaningful and impactful towards the community and the greater world? And then the second one is, am I constantly being challenged to solve new problems and greater problems? I think it's really easy to get stuck in roles, both in life and in relationships and professionally, that are either not challenging or not solving a need in the community. And I think, for better or for worse, Notre Dame and ESTEEM creates an environment that makes you constantly want to give back and solve impactful problems.